Spiritual Life Center, transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are. One heart, one mind, one soul at a time.
Hello, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Outdoor Experience. This is your band, Soul Light Connection, and we figured out a way to get together, social distance, and play some music for you. So I hope you sing along.
You're in the right place at the right time, just where you were meant to be. Let's sing about it. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I just want you to take your hand and put it on your heart. We're sending you this loving energy. Send it back. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh my soul is welcome here. Oh my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh my soul is welcome. Oh my soul is my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Come on, John. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome.
Good morning, and welcome to the Spiritual Life Center experience that we bring to you wherever you might be on the planet today. We're grateful for your presence as we remind one another that we are all interconnected. We are all one in the Spirit. So right now, let us reaffirm that truth as we commune with the divine as well as with each other for just a moment. We are reminded, Divine Spirit, that we live in a friendly universe. And as we remain open and receptive to your support, nothing but good comes our way. In thought, in word, in action, we manifest and bring forth this good in our world. We're grateful that we have the opportunity and the choice to align with everything that is good and perfect from the Spirit of the living God. And we can see every experience as an opportunity to see what is unfolding for our upliftment, our transformation, and the expression of the depth of the truth of our being. We remember that we are blessed and we are a blessing as we go forth multiplying, amplifying, and expanding the all good in our life and in our world. And so it is, and so we let it be. We are grateful. Amen. I invite you now to join in affirming the 5 basic unity principles in case you want to share that with anyone that wants to know what we believe. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God, and we must take action.
On the coming episode of our podcast, Discovering Spirit Within, my guest is a good friend of SLC, Reverend Donna Apodoni. In our conversation, Donna and I explore how challenges and difficulties are actually our call to spirituality. We explore the different ways in which we can grow into our higher selves to help create solutions in our lives. Discovering Spirit Within premieres on your favorite podcast app each Wednesday, and you can find out more at slcworld.org/online. Come listen and discover your own spirit within.
Hello, my friend. My name is Esther Nicholson, and I am the founder and director of Soul Recovery. I would like to invite you to a powerful and experiential workshop called The Healing Code of Forgiveness, Freedom from Racial Trauma. Let's face it, in the past several months, the Band-Aid has been ripped off of the deep, festering wound of racism, not only in this country, but in the world. This wound is old, and it is so deeply embedded in the unconscious mind that many of you are suffering from the effects of it in a way that you are not consciously aware of, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Why? Because unresolved trauma and resentment creates spiritual and emotional blocks. When we are spiritually disconnected and emotionally out of balance, it feels a lot like having one foot on the accelerator and another foot on the brake simultaneously. And you're pushing and pushing and you're trying to break through and you're trying to move forward, but you find yourself defaulting right back to the same emotional patterns and destructive behavior patterns over and over again. And many of you are feeling stuck, exhausted, and discouraged. Am I right? Well, how are you going to get unstuck? How are you going to finally heal those deep emotional traumas, including racial trauma, in a way that is going to truly make a difference in your life? Because let's face it, in order to heal collectively, we must heal individually. And that's exactly what I'm going to guide you to in this workshop, to your own healing, where you are going to experience relief, clarity, and a lightness within you that many of you haven't experienced in a long time. You're going to get unstuck by removing emotional blocks and have a new sense of purpose, enthusiasm, and excitement about life itself and your life. And of course, I'm going to guide you to a deep process, an experience of self-forgiveness and self-love in a way that allows you to forgive and love others. And this is where you are set free. So I am looking forward to joining you and you joining me in the Healing Code of Forgiveness, Freedom from Racial Trauma workshop. We're going to go deep and we're going to have a good time. I'm so grateful for you. I'll see you there. Peace and blessings.
Faith in Action begins October 4th, and you can sign up for your group now. And we have 12 groups this year, which is amazing since we're doing this whole thing online this year. The book we are reading is called The Universe is Calling by Eric Butterworth. You'll not be able to buy it here in the center. If you buy it online, consider going to Amazon Smile, because when you buy from Amazon Smile, SLC will receive a small donation based on your purchase. For more information and to sign up, go to slcworld.org/faith-in-action. And feel free to contact me at the center if you have any questions. New chaplain training begins on October 9th. Prayer with others is a gift that you give yourself. If you are in discernment about becoming a chaplain, you can attend a Zoom orientation session on Sunday, September 27th at 10:30 a.m. or on Tuesday, September 29th at 6:30 p.m. For details, go to slcworld.org. Nominations for the Community Giving Program are open until Sunday, September 27th. So be sure to send in your nomination today. Go to slcworld.org/giving-back.
Hi, my name is Celia, and I'm from the Spiritual Life Center marketing team. I am so excited to be here today to introduce our new virtual community. This is called our Spiritual Life Center Mighty Network. This online community is a place for us to meet virtually while we're not able to meet in person. What's great is that this community also allows our members who are throughout the world to come visit us at any point in time, whether or not they're here actually in Sacramento. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and share my screen and introduce you to this virtual platform. This is a brief overview, so we will be sending out additional information in our weekly newsletter, so be sure you're subscribed to receive those updates. So you'll log on to the slcworld.org website, and located right in the middle, there is a little M icon, and you're going to go ahead and click on that. Now I'm already logged in, but this is when it's going to ask you to create an account if you don't already have one. Many of our community members have already taken advantage of this platform, so please feel free to do so. We encourage you to get involved. What's wonderful about this platform is we have actually created a few resources for you to take advantage of. First of all, we do have an orientation that will walk you through how to use this platform and how you can get the best benefits from it. We also have a meditation experience from Reverend Janae, which we thank her very much for putting this together. It's a 4-part guided meditation experience, which you can do either daily or weekly. We also have a place for our small groups to meet. We have so many small groups that are happening, so please feel free to jump into those and take advantage of them. And then of course we have our general discussion, which is robust and wonderful. And I cannot wait to see what else comes from our community. So I wish I could spend more time with you today on this, but in the meantime, go ahead and jump in, sign up for an account, and join in the conversation. We do plan on having a Zoom event very soon to explain more about this platform and answer any questions you may have. So once again, make sure that you're subscribed to our weekly newsletter so we can let you know when that's happening. We'll see you on Mighty Network.
We love to greet our newcomers. And while we cannot greet you in person, we want you to know that we are very happy that you are with us as you walk your unique path. You can learn more about us by going to slcworld.org/connect. And when you fill out the online card, you can choose to receive our weekly message, find opportunities for connecting with our prayer chaplains and online small groups, and also be notified of greater ways to connect with us virtually as we expand our online community. Thank you for joining us today. We are honored to share our service with you.
Pour yourself
Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
Showers of grace, endless ocean of joy, pour into you, into me. Washed in pure love, the sacred heart reveals, humbly to serve the supreme. As a bird sings, as the grass grows, as a dewdrop clings, all of nature knows. Showers of grace, endless ocean of joy, pour into you, into me. Washed in pure love, the sacred heart reveals, humbly to serve the supreme. As a bird sings, as the grass grows, as a dewdrop clings, all of nature knows. Showers of grace, endless ocean of joy, pour into you, into me. Washed in pure love, the sacred heart reveals, humbly to serve the supreme. As a bird sings, as the grass grows, as a dewdrop clings, all of nature knows. Showers of grace, endless ocean of joy, pour into you, into me.
As we move into this time of interconnection, take a deep breath and let it go. Relax into your chair. Feel your arms and legs relax. Relax your eyelids. Take another breath and let it go. And now simply breathe naturally and allow yourself to drift into a light daydream. In front of you stands a tall green hedge. It goes as far as you can see in both directions. Looking more closely, you see a small opening in the hedge so that you could walk through. You find that you have stepped into a maze. It's not what you were expecting, but Still, you step forward with full confidence. The path is made up of different colored stones, and you follow it through turns, right and left. You are in the flow. And then you turn into a dead end. Calmly, you walk back to the junction, and here you stop to ask for guidance. Become still. Watch. Listen. The colored stones begin to glow. The colors dance along the path, guiding you in a new direction. And as you reach another junction, you make a turn. But then you notice that the colors are fading. And so you stop, watch, listen. The path lights up to lead you on, and you understand that when you stop, watch, listen, the colored stones show you the right path. Now the path leads you into what feels like the center of the maze. The air is filled with a rainbow of light. Colors dance and swirl all around you. The light enters your body, merging with every atom, every cell, until you too become sparkling, dancing light. You are immersed in this loving, healing light, and you take it all in the silence. Oh, my beloved, allow your life to be guided by the pure love that dwells within you. Love is with you always. Love never fails you. Love is all there ever was. Love is all there ever will be. And since there is only love, you must also be love. Remember this, always.
What kept me sad was a story in my head about what I never had and what I never said. But I can sing a song the flowers gave to me. It helps me to be strong. It helps me to be free. When I'm walking with you, I'm walking with God. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking with God. When I'm praying with you, I'm praying with God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. And when I'm laughing with you, laughing with God. And when I'm singing with you, I'm singing with God. In the arms of my friend, I'm in the arms of God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. There is a road, a journey we must take that starts from within, but it's just a thought away. You see, I got a song that the flowers gave to me. It helps me to be strong. It helps me to be free. And when I'm walking with you, I'm walking with God. And when I'm talking with you, I'm talking with God. And when I'm praying with you, I'm praying with God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. Oh, when I'm laughing with God. Oh, and when I'm singing with God. And in the arms of my friend, I'm in the arms of God. If God is all there is, then everything is God. Oh, if God is all there is, then everything is God. If God is all there is, then everything is God.
Well, good morning once again. I recently ran across a quotation from Albert Einstein, and he said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant, and that we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." You know, that statement reminds me of a story of a nurse who was responsible for caring for a patient. And he was doing pretty well after undergoing what they consider to be minor surgery. I don't know if there is such a thing, but minor surgery. In fact, this patient was scheduled to be discharged the very next day. However, the moment the nurse started her shift, she had a bad feeling in her gut. At least that's the way that she described it. For some reason unclear to her rational mind, she kept checking on the patient. Each time she checked, the patient simply said, "I'm completely fine. I'm good. You don't have to check on me." But late one morning, the patient went for a walk around the hospital. And the nurse said that something told her to walk with him. And the nurse said later that she was glad she did, because the gentleman passed out while walking the grounds that was somewhat removed from the hospital building. Apparently, he had a serious and dangerous heart condition that no one was aware of. And the nurse was told that if she had not been there, he probably would have died. You know, that day the nurse said she believed there was something particularly in tune with her intuitive nature, and that she tapped into something that she can't describe, but it guided her to check on that patient and to accompany him on his walk. And that was something she normally would never do. Well, today we're talking about Intuit, whereby we use our intuition to grow into the great power and presence and love of God. I was doing some research about the ancient land of Kemet, also known as Egypt. And as many of you know that have researched it or been there, there's a Sphinx there. And according to the Greeks, the base of that particular monument represented the animalistic part of us. And the face was human, and the eyes were staring out into the divine. And that the Sphinx, according to the Greeks, symbolizes that we move through an animal or humanistic stage into our intuitive knowing vibration, where we no longer are trying to figure anything out. Instead, we're thinking the thoughts of God. We're intuiting the thoughts of God because our faculty of intuition is open. Very often we've been taught to try to figure things out with our rational mind, as Einstein said, as if our mind were somehow separate from the mind of God. But if there's only one mind, and that mind is the mind of God, it's indistinguishable from our mind. And our mind is just an individualized expression of the only mind that there is. When we realize that, we know we don't have to waste our time trying to figure something out. We just need to be available to what God has already figured out. Intuit it, see it, capture it. Listen until that which is already in the mind of God begins to impress itself upon you and me so that we catch it, we embody it, we know it. Sometimes we may go, oh wow, an idea came to me, an insight came, a revelation came. Oh, I had a dream. Oh, a song was there. Oh, I had an intuitive flash, and I knew everything that I needed to do was already going to be there for me. Or we may be saying in a feeling that, in my gut, in my heart, in my soul, I know if I just do so and so, everything is going to be okay. I think about this in a small way as I remember when I was in high school many years ago. And I was taking a final exam for a math class, and there was one particular question I had no idea how to answer. And of course, rather than just leave it blank, I decided that I would just put something down on the paper. Anything. I figured would be better than just leaving the space blank. And I remember that suddenly, out of the blue, an idea hit me. And I was led to write down an equation that I had no inkling of what it meant or where it came from. And since I had nothing to lose, in my mind, I just plugged in the numbers into the equation, finished the exam, and didn't think any more about it. When I got the exam back, the test back, not only was the answer correct, but the teacher told me that it was an equation he had never seen before. Of course, I had not ever seen it before either. I just came up with it seemingly out of the blue, but of course I didn't tell him that. It was just kind of came to me in an intuitive flash. I like to say that I always follow my intuition. The reality is most of the time I don't. Oftentimes I let my rational mind overwhelm or overtake, those intuitive flashes that I have that time to time come to me. But in that particular moment, as I look back, I realized I was not trying to figure anything out. I wasn't trying to solve the problem because I could not. In that moment, I was available with a deep listening that allowed me, and it can allow anyone for that matter, to capture ideas from the divine that are always there for you and for me. Because this presence that we call the divine, the force, God, has the answer even before we know what the question is. There's a statement in the book of Isaiah, the 65th chapter and 24th verse, that says, even before they call, I had already answered you. I recall reading a news article many years ago. And in this article, it noted that scientists had made a magnificent breakthrough and discovery. This particular scientist had taken the cells of the body parts and created mathematical equations out of the cells of the DNA. And then he translated those cells into math into musical notes. And when he took the heart cells, for an example, he turned them into mathematical notes and converted them into music. And that music was some of the most beautiful love songs ever written by the great composers of all time. I think the message is we don't have to figure anything out. It's already done. Just like the great composers and the great arrangers, they listen deeply and they hear. They hear the music of the spheres encoded in all of us. And all they do is give it their interpretation of what is already in the mind of the Spirit of God. I think the lesson for us that today we can dedicate ourselves to deep listening. And then we become aware in our prayer life that we're not putting any pressure on God to deliver us anything, to give us anything. I remember in my own old way of thinking, before I got into this work, this kind of spiritual work, I believed that one prayed, you had to put pressure on God. So you might go to your altar or whatever prayer approach you may have, say, God, this is going on in my life. These are my problems. These are my concerns. Do something about this. And we may wait and we think we're putting pressure on God and say, God, I'm checking my watch or checking my phone. I'm looking at you, God. It ain't happening yet. We may think we're putting pressure on the Spirit of God, but in reality, as we grow, as we develop, as we unfold spiritually, we come out of that immature way of looking at the universe or the force or God. Instead, we understand that we are to put pressure on ourselves to lift our octave to a total exposure to the presence, a total exposure to the Spirit. And as we do, we come into harmony with what is already created in the mind of God. Remember that biblical statement. Before they call, I've already answered them. I've already answered you, the presence is telling us. If you imagine, and I don't want you to imagine too hard because, there's a lot of spiritual, highly spiritual people involved in the ancient wisdom teachings. And so your imagination is pretty finely tuned and powerful. But imagine for a moment, say you had a knee injury that was healing. And you were aware you could still walk, or maybe you could even run a little bit, or at least walk kind of fast. But you're also aware that the knee was healing. But that particular awareness that you have about it would inform you how you would walk or how fast you would be walking. And you would constantly be aware of that. It would be in the background of your mind that it was healing. So you wouldn't make any sudden moves or leap over tall buildings or short ones for that matter, or try to hop over a fence or run up the stairs too fast, because you wouldn't want to stymie the healing process that is taking place. Your attention would be informed by the fact that the healing process was going on within your knee. And you would always be somewhat aware of it. And so during the course of your day, you would know this. So whenever you got in or out of a car, or whenever you went up stairs, whenever you stepped off a curve, you would just be aware of it. It would be kind of in the background until it became really at one in your consciousness. That awareness was just there. You knew it was there. You knew it was healing, and you knew instinctively what to do. In the same sense, you want to be totally exposing your consciousness to the presence of God, so that all day long there is nothing that you do or don't do that is not involved in your intention of being informed by the presence of God first and foremost. So that everything that you're about to say, everything you're about to do, or anything you're about to write or act upon, you're constantly thinking and communing with the presence of God first and foremost. And when you do, your life is totally exposed to this presence, to this force, to this love, to this friendly universe. And the pressure is upon you totally to expose your life to God. And I think when we do this, we make a magnificent discovery. We discover that say when you go to your formal prayer time, your formal prayer time is a heightened awareness of what you have been doing all day. It's not different. It's not something different from other parts of your day. In other words, you don't have a secular part of your day or a material part of your day where your mind is running rampant based upon the highly charged thought forms of the world, and your attention is all over the place. And then you try to heal all of that by going into prayer, and your prayer life is totally different from the rest of your life. No, not at all. When you have that kind of awareness of this presence, you have a total exposure to the Spirit on a regular basis. Your prayer life simply becomes a heightened awareness, acknowledgement of your regular life. They're one and the same. That means that you're praying without ceasing. That's what that statement says, that you're in that state all the time. And it keeps getting more and more pure, more and more profound, deeper, because that's your way of life. Therefore, you'll never find yourself trying to pressure or put pressure on God to solve a problem. Instead, you will have a heightened awareness of what God is. And your intuitive faculty is heightened. And you see more clearly the will and the divine solutions, the divine order that is always there, even if it doesn't square with your surface mind, even if it doesn't square with our rational mind. You don't totally understand it even. Something begins to take you over, where you see beyond time, you see beyond space, you see beyond your little circumstance or situation, and you begin to have an eternal point of view, where you begin to live in that space. You begin to live in the nowness of the moment. And the decisions that you make in life, the commitments that you make in life are made from a big picture. They're made from the eternal point of view. You know, I was recently having a conversation with my very good friend, Jim Lee. Many of you know him. He and I started ministerial school together. We've been kind of buddies for a long time. And he was talking about he was going to have a presentation to give at, I think, the Great Lakes region in a little while. And we were talking about how we can apply the teachings to all the stuff that's going on in our world today. The political stuff that's going on, the unrest that's going on, the racial divides, the attention that we're tending to all of the things regarding climate change or climate emergency, if you really want to get honest about it. And what we realize is that all of this is going on in order to activate something within us in order for us to evolve to our next stage of our evolution. So that we begin to see from an eternal point of view, and we do it much like the Native Americans when they make any kind of commitment. Because what they think about are the 7 generations that are to follow them in their decision making. They don't think about just what they're going to do today. and how it's going to affect them in their individual or private family or their personal lives. They think generationally. It's more of an eternal perspective. And in that same sense, when you and I expose our life to the Spirit on a regular basis, by contemplating, by communing with this spiritual presence, there is a heightened awareness in our prayer work. So it becomes a new platform or a new plateau for you and me to leap off from. And as we do, more and more and more of our divine self is being delivered on a day-to-day basis. Understand that you and I live in an awareness of gratitude when we do that. We live in awareness of thanksgiving when we do that. And that becomes the vibration. That becomes and leads to inspiration. I've come to understand over time that intuition and inspiration are pretty much the same thing. The inspired thought of God, the thought of God moving through you and through me, is literally inspiration. And if you and I can contemplate moments in our life where we had an aha moment, when suddenly we knew something we didn't know before, where suddenly we saw the whole picture. I think there was a movie about Beethoven. I think it was Amadeus. I think that's the one. I'm not sure. And it would say that Beethoven sometimes would see the whole symphony in a flash that he wanted to come up with. And it might take him a month to get it down on paper. I had similar experience maybe when preparing for a talk or writing. I might see it in a flash, and then I have to go through the process of capturing it in order to speak it or to write it. And I have to say that oftentimes it gets lost in translation because my rational mind takes over. Or maybe you have found the experience in which you caught a song and it was nagging you to get out. You caught a picture of something that you were going to do in your life. That was a moment of intuition. That was a moment of inspiration. Your octave was high. You know, in my own life, I remember when I knew I had to go to ministerial school. I was resisting it for a long time, as many of you know, and in that moment I saw a flash of a vision where I could no longer resist. And I knew exactly what to do. In the same way, when you get an intuitive hit, you know what you need to do. You don't need to sit around thinking how you're going to solve your problems. Because in the mind of God, those problems do not exist because they're vibrating too low. And our role is to stay inspired to keep our intuitive faculty high and vibrated on a higher level where all the solutions are. This is why we pray. This is why we participate in fellowship and programs like this Faith in Action, which we're going to start in a couple weeks, so that you and I can remain inspired and see the way God sees, to help stay inspired. There's always a practical tip I like to give. You know, in the morning, one practical tip is simply look in the mirror and say, I am inspired. Even if you don't feel it at the moment, keep saying it until you get a little inspiration, and then say, I stay inspired. And then you say, I am inspired, and I stay inspired. I am inspired, I stay inspired. In those moments of inspiration, you begin to see that God's eyes are too pure to behold anything less than that. Because God only sees spiritual, magnificent, brilliant ideas that is creating in its own image and likeness, and we get to demonstrate it in a visible way. You know, I've been going on, so let me close out by sharing this. You know, when we're inspired, the unlimited energy of the Spirit that comes from the embodying of spiritual ideas take us over. They take over our life. And you and I are in tune with infinite presence. You are in tune with enlightenment. You're in tune with cosmic awareness. It all kicks in. So you intuit into it. When you do, you're not figuring out anything. You're listening and you're seeing. You're a contributor, a radiator, a shiner, in tune with the infinite Spirit of God. which is the only spirit that there is. It's part of your life, and it's a call upon you. It's nudging you, just as a song nudges an artist until it gets out. Just as a portrait or a picture nudges a painter until they finally get it out. Just as a story nudges someone until they finally write it down. Understand that love is nudging you today. Peace is nudging you today. Creativity is nudging you today. Compassion and kindness is nudging you today. Forgiveness is seeking to come through your heart today. There is a call waiting for you to take a stand and say yes to it. To follow that something that nurse had followed when she helped that man who had the heart attack. I think you and I and all of us are here to stand up and be a spotlight, to be a neon sign for God, to be a brilliant light for the Spirit, contributing greatly to this planet that is hungering and thirsting after truth, that's hungering and thirsting after peace, that's hungering and thirsting after joy and harmony, in a language and in a way that we all can understand. Remember, you are the answer. It's part of your DNA. Because of who you are, because of the essence of the presence, you understand that when you listen, when you make yourself available, your intuitive faculty kicks in, you live life from the highest point of view. And you're never the same. Individuals may come up to you and say, "What happened? I remember you 10 years ago. You look younger today. What happened?" And you say, "Nothing happened. This is who I was all the time, but maybe at that time I didn't know. You didn't know it. But now I know it. It's shining through me. This is how it's always been. It's simply gone back to the source. I've gone back to the source. And now I sing praises to the Spirit of the living God. It's all right there within us. It's here. It's now. So deeply listen to it. Embody it. Feel it. Hear it. Intuit into it. And see your life unfold in a most magnificent way. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Well, thank you for being part of our service today, as we are reminded to honor the intuitive nature that is with each and every one of us, and that it is a gift from the Spirit of the living God that is always accessible as we stay in that inspired space. Next Sunday, a person many of you know and love, Esther Nicholson, will be with us in a virtual talk entitled The Roadmap Home to Your Authentic Self. Esther will not only give us an enlightening message, but also her magnificent musicality will provide it to uplift your spirit. And also, remember to sign up for Esther's workshop, The Healing Code for Forgiveness. There are scholarships available, so don't hesitate to contact us if you need one. Right now, it's your opportunity to support Spiritual Life Center, to help us provide these spiritual experiences for you. Not just what we do on Sunday, but our weekly podcast, our prayer and meditation classes, as well as other transformational activities that take place during the week. So I invite you right now to support Spiritual Life Center with your gift, with your donation, and give what you can. It makes a difference and will be very, very much appreciated. You can give to Spiritual Life Center by texting SLC Love to 44321, or go to our website, slcworld.org, and click the Donate tab and give in other ways, including by mail. With that, I invite you to join in and say our offertory blessing with me. divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Hey, hey, hey. All right. Hey, 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 yeah. All right. My intentions are good. I use my intuition. It takes me for a ride. But I never understood other people's superstition. It seemed like suicide. As I play the game of life, I try to make it better each and every day. And when I struggle in the night, the magic of the music seems to light the way. But intuition, it takes me there. Intuition, it takes me everywhere. Well, my instincts are fine. I had to learn to use them in order to survive. And time after time, confirmed an old suspicion, it's good to be alive. And when I'm deep down and out and lose communication with nothing left to say, it's then I realize it's only a condition to see things that way. Intuition, it takes me there. Intuition takes me anywhere. All right, takes me anywhere.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well.
On earth and let it
transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are.
One heart.